Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well. This is Jeff Abel from Special Olympics Maryland. This is a re-record of Monday evening's webinar. As you know, I was using Zoom for the first time and had some technical difficulties when I hit record. So I am re-recording this webinar, so it is not live. It does not include the questions that were asked during the session, but certainly programs can follow up with me after they watch this if they do have specific questions. So we're going to be covering the changes to the platform of protected behaviors. Special Olympics recently notified their state program that the platform for protected behaviors would be changing. So the goal for the webinar is to provide an overview of the changes so that area leaders can more accurately communicate with their volunteers as to what the process is. Walk through the new platform as a demo very quickly. We will not go question by question through the quiz, and then reinforce to area leaders that you shouldn't notice a change in your workflow. It's a pretty straightforward change to the platform. It does require a little explanation when we talk to volunteers just because of the process, but lots of things have stayed the same. So just as a reminder, this has not changed what a Class A volunteer is. Our Class A volunteers need general orientation, the protected behaviors training, a volunteer application, and a background check for those who are 18 years and older, and a student minor reference form for those who are 17 and under. What has stayed the same? So a lot of what protected behaviors was and a lot of what protected behaviors is exactly what it used to be. So one of the first things that has not changed is the content. The content has stayed absolutely the same. I would guess that if you looked at the content of the old training and the new training, word for word, they would be absolutely the same. So that hasn't changed at all. Second, as we had talked about, the requirement hasn't changed. It's still a required training for our volunteers, so we want to make sure that they do go through the process. And lastly, that Special Olympics is responsible for updating a volunteer's record in GMS. We're the ones who are notified, and we will continue to be the ones to be notified. So as I said before, it will not change the workflow that our local programs are currently doing. So what is different? The platform for taking protected behaviors training requires an account now. So that's a bit different. The Special Olympics learning platform that it's hosted through tracks completed trainings for the volunteer. So if you remember in the past, once a volunteer finished the training, unless they printed out their certificate or saved their certificate, there was no verification on their end that they've actually done it. So this allows them to log into the portal and see that they've completed the training. The other difference is that temporarily there is a different process for those who are 18 years and older and those who are under 18. We will talk about this. We provided some feedback to Special Olympics, but please know that what we're going to talk about tonight is temporary before a more permanent solution can be found. So the Special Olympics Learning Portal, it's SOI's new platform for training and development. Currently, there are some health trainings on there, protected behaviors training, and I think the idea is that they will continue to use this to track a volunteer's training within the program, but right now the trainings offered are pretty minimal. As I've said before, an individual does need an account, but once they have an account and they're keeping trainings, the Learning Portal will track what they're taking, what they're completed, what they're in the process of taking, those expiration dates, and those types of things. So the process for creating an account or completing the protected behaviors training, it's really a three-step process. There's a registration, a confirmation, and a training. So registering, unlike the old protected behaviors training, the Learning Portal does require an account. So individuals will click create an account, and I will slide the this page over to my screen. So you can see this is the Learning Portal, learn.specialolympics.org. And Volunteers who are there for the first time can click don't have an account, create one. That will take them to this page, and they'll be able to fill that out to create an account. They'll need to enter all of the required information. They must, one of the kind of shortcomings I would say is that everyone must have a unique email address that can be checked. So we do encourage our volunteers to use Gmail if they need to, or another free account so that they can set up an email address. You will see in the next step that it does need to be one that can be checked. So they can't just type in a fake email address. And then the last piece, and I'll bring the screen up again so that you can see it. Down here where it says learning area, they will have three options: sport, health, or protected behaviors. They should click protected behaviors now if that's the training, since that's the training that they need. The good news is, because protected behaviors is required for any sports volunteer or any health volunteer, they can access protected behaviors if they choose the wrong option, but protected behaviors, selecting that just makes it a little more simple. So they will fill out this application to create their account. Next step is confirmation. So once a volunteer has filled out all of the necessary information, a volunteer should check their email that was used for registration and look for an email from Okta. I'm not sure what that is. The email will be titled "Welcome to Special Olympics." They should click activate Special Olympics account, which will activate their account. Then they'll be able to log in and take the protected behaviors training. Again, this is why I said, it might be tempting to type in, 123@gmail.com just to get an email address in there if someone doesn't have one. But we do need to be able to check that email address to be able to complete the training. The last step is to take the training. So they'll follow the online training as usual. As I said when I was talking about content, nothing has changed. Word for word, it seems to be the same. Upon completion, Special Olympics Maryland will be notified and we will update GMS accordingly. And completed training will also be noted on a volunteers training portal and available for future reference. So the process that's a little different now is for those volunteers who are under 18. So the current system does not allow for individuals under the age of 16 to create an account. This is based on access to other training specifically for the health program. We have given feedback to Special Olympics that this training and maybe others in the future should be made available regardless of age. The more people who have protected behavior training, the better. And so Special Olympics Maryland is going to be providing protected behaviors training for our minor volunteers so that they can still get the training as part of their onboarding. So volunteers who are under the age of 18 should visit www.somd.org/volunteer/protective behaviors. And I will slide that screen over now. So on this page, we have a few links. For volunteers under the age of 18, they can click this first link to watch protected behaviors training. I went ahead and recorded it. I recorded a webinar of protected behaviors training with all of the same content that they would have if they went through the learning portal. Then, similar to how they submit their student minor reference form where they print out a paper and send it into our office, they can complete the quiz that's linked here. It's the standard protected behaviors training, multiple choice, same quiz that someone would take online, so content is all the same. And they can send that via email to coaches@somd.org. So that is the temporary fix for minors not being able to access the online site. I did include for volunteers ages 18 and older to go back to the learning portal. I put that link in there just in case someone gets rerouted back to us. But for the most part, it should be pretty straightforward. I'll get back to our training. So I apologize for that little pause there. So Again, what our volunteers need to do is go to learn.specialolympics.org. It's a Special Olympics hosted site. And as you can see here, all they need to do is fill out the required information, check both boxes, and they'll get in to the protected behaviors training and go through that. This is a picture of inside of the learning platform. I figured rather than taking the training in front of everybody, you can just trust me that I can pass protected behaviors training. You can see that this allows a volunteer to see any trainings that they've taken or are currently taking. So you can see, I just put it up here just to get, you can see one in process, the level 1 sport assistant coaching training that they have up there. So I'm 0% done with that one. But protected behaviors training, I've completed at 100%. I can print out my certificate and go from there. So pretty good that our volunteers can access this information whenever they want. Again, I think that SOI is going to be using this more in the future, this learning portal, to put on more trainings. Right now, it's pretty limited. So all they're going to need there is protected behaviors. Again, if anybody does have questions, I apologize that I couldn't record this the right way the first time we did the training, but if you do have questions, please don't hesitate to email me. We'll be happy to point you in the right direction, get you the information that you need. So thanks so much for participating in the webinar. I hope this was helpful. And again, if you have any questions, I am happy to provide support. Thanks so much.